Hey! Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay the Monkey. We're back here in Rust. More specifically, the Rust Console Edition for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the Pros, Xbox Pro, Xbox One X, and then some PS4 Pro, and then the next gens as well. But we're here today with our controller settings, or game settings, or I should say the best game settings, or at least the best game settings to get you started. And again, this includes both controller settings, sensitivity, head turn, look at that, auto run, FOV, and some small things you can do to help with performance with the limited options that we do have across all of the different consoles. Yes. All right, before we get started, just want to let you know we've been doing a lot of live streams. We've been doing some solo series. We'll be doing some duo series as well. I should link the solo series, at least the start of it now in the upper right-hand corner, if you are interested in watching that. So you can either go tap out or click it and watch till later and then just bounce back. Entirely up to you. But anyways, all right, so we've done one of these earlier, I should say about a month ago maybe, but I thought it was maybe worth coming back and touching base on this one more time. So again, settings. This head turn, I believe, is so key in almost everything you do. Like, look at this. I'm running. I'm now checking my inventory, moving it around. I can craft. Oops, sorry. Craft. I can check the map. You could do all kinds of things. You can drop things. Auto run and head turn are so key for everything. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what those settings are for that. The head turn is just, if you're not doing it, I would strongly recommend doing it. All right, so we've got, oh man, I put my notes away. So head turn for me, I set to the left bumper, which is L1 for the PlayStation. I always get those confused, so if I got those swapped around, you know what I'm talking about, the one that's just above the trigger. So I've got that set there, and it's called the special button. So let me show you the settings. Oops, controller layout. Okay, so right here, again, I'm on the Xbox, but this does translate to the PlayStation as well, both the PS5 and the PS4. Hang on, let me take a drink. Okay, so the special button, the swap action, is Y. I want to say that's triangle. Is that right? On the Xbox, on the PlayStation. See how this is changing right here? The default is to drop an item. I would strongly recommend turning this to head turn, not quick turn. Not quick turn hold, but head look hold. And once you have that, again, that enables you to do this while you're moving, looking side to side. Again, I think this is a big deal because a lot of people like to crank up their FOVs. And, I mean, that's cool. You got to set it to what you're used to or what works well for you. But if you look at this, with head turn, you don't need to have your FOV cranked up quite so high. We'll go over more of that in a little bit. Okay, so let's go over some of the sensitivity settings. Now, this is up for a huge debate, but if the settings are a bit too crazy for you when you first get started, these are good baseline to start with, and then play with this for a little bit, I want to say about a day or two, and then make small adjustments and play with it for about an hour or so and see if you like those. But again, I think this is a good baseline for anybody's sensitivity. And again, translating to PlayStation and Xbox. All right, first thing, for control sensitivity, well, right away I say aim assist off. Again, here's a caveat. Even though it may say on, it's not on. There are very few servers that will have aim assist, and you can opt in or out. But the vast majority of servers that are on right now, officials, I think like 98%, they're all going to be aim assist off, even if you have this on. So just keep that in mind. I like to turn it off just because. Yeah, I mean, we've been playing without it, so yeah, I like to have it predictable for me. All right, so camera control type, which this is the curve for the controller itself. And again, these are good baselines for people to start. There's two of them. It starts on digital boost, and the other one is analog acceleration. Analog acceleration is more of a curve. Digital boost is more of a diagonal, if that makes sense. So, did I just mess that up? Okay, no. So I would say start with analog acceleration. That's going to help with your overall profile, control sensitivity profile. All right, camera sensitivity is the sensitivity itself, so like your head looking around or just the camera in general. It does just what it says it's going to do. I have mine set at 83%. So what's interesting in this game, there are sensitivities for both movement, aiming, and sprinting. The sprinting is, especially if you have auto sprint on all the time, the sensitivity between I'm sorry, standard camera sensitivity and the sprinting, they almost can be flip-flopped if you're running around a lot, if that makes sense. But anyways, so sprinting I have set to 100%, which I believe is the default. Camera sensitivity for aiming is at 50%. Again, if you're going to make changes to these after you've gotten used to this, make small changes after you've played these for a day or two, and then see if that's working for you. The next one we have down the row here is vertical sensitivity, which I have mine set to 50. I would highly recommend that. If you find that you can't really snap up that quick, you know, try it in small, like 2%, maybe 4% increments. I wouldn't go crazy high with this, just because it can get a little too herky-jerky. Whoops, there we go. Camera inertia. How long the camera inertia is applied to any camera movements after you release the input, allowing for smoother camera movement at the expense of overall accuracy. I believe this is the snapback when I'm walking around like this. If I'm not mistaken, it's this. So watch, I'm going to let go of head turn. It's a bit softer. Or it's just general movements aren't as herky-jerky. I want to say it's this, because when I turned it up, it seemed like this was changed. So anyways, I have mine set at 0.8. Let's go back to the old settings here. Go camera inertia. I think that's a pretty good place to go. X-axis acceleration, I have mine set at 100%. I wouldn't get too crazy with these. Again, to start, always fill out this baseline and then make the adjustments. I cannot express that enough. Dead zone is great for people that have controller drift. This can also help with more sensitive or snap or flick shots, right? So I have mine set at the default area, which is 24%. You could shave this down a little bit if you wanted a bit more sensitive, but those of us that have had or used controllers for a hot second, dead zones, left and right, both help. These stand for the analog sticks, and that would be R3 and L3 on the PlayStation, and ours are just thumbsticks. Jeez, I can't talk. Okay, invert axis, again, if you're down with that, go for it, but unless I'm flying, I always turn those off. That's just me personally. All right, now let's go over, I think, some of the input preferences that are key for this game. Let me take another drink. Woo! Okay, push to talk. I have mine on toggle again. That's more preference. Disable quick chat. I don't have that disabled. That's kind of a double negative, right? Sprint input. I have mine on toggle, which means I push in my left thumbstick to get it to go. Oh, there we go. Left thumbstick, or L3, right? L3, yes. Auto sprint on. That means when you hold the thumbstick forward for 2 seconds, roughly, you can then auto sprint. Again, enabling you to do inventory management while you're moving, map checking. It is huge. We use it on PC for the longest time. It's huge. Toggle input, or I'm sorry, crouch input is on toggle. Again, that would be B. Oh man, is that circle on PlayStation? I don't have my cheat sheet in front of me. I always forget what it is, but it's B, or it would be what, east on the button cluster. So I have mine set to, again, toggle. So if you like that, I find that toggle's nice because it hides your foot movements, hides your foot noises, or your footsteps when you're crouched. It would become a lot more apparent once the audio's kind of tweaked a bit, but anyways, I like it. And let's see, we got, not graphics, what am I doing? Controls. All right, those are huge for the movement overall. Again, play around with those settings after you've adjusted to these. And the head turn is over with the special action here under standard, and that is LB, and that is L1 on the PlayStation. Man, I hope I got those right for head turn. Head look, head turn. Okay, so here's another one that is a huge point of contention for a lot of people. They come in, they see it, they go, hey man, your FOV is super low. There's a number of reasons for that. First of all, with your FOV being lower, it's going to help those baseline console systems, PlayStation 4, Xbox. They're going to help those. It's not like a miracle, but it's going to help with those performance issues. If you're on a core system and you have your stuff jacked up to 90, you could see more problems. Just putting that out there. Also, my FOV is set to 70. Just so you know, default PC settings are set at 72, right? Field of view. Okay, so if you would like a larger field of view, you can jack this up. I would recommend staying at 80 or under if you want to go high. So on the high end, I guess just say 80. 90, let me show you what 80 looks like. That's not terrible, but I would say that's probably as high as you want to go. If you're looking for more performance or less crashes on a core system, I would say keep it at like 65, maybe 70, or even drop it all the way down to 60. Because remember, you're rendering more off the side, or you're seeing more, so your render view is pushing a bit more than it typically would. But hey, if you've got your settings to 70, and the default in this game is 60, you can see out of your periphery by using your head turn. So that helps with that. I think a lot of people set those excessively high because they couldn't see around or over their shoulders. So that helps. Some people just like them high. But with 90 FOV, not only is it crazy narrow, but when, well, we don't actually know if vehicles are coming in, but with the FOV 90, you're going to find that when minis come out, and again, it's me speculating, we don't actually know if they are or aren't, but you'll find that the Mini has when you jump into the cockpit, it has an FOV of 90. So it's like, hey, that's cool for flying, but not necessarily cool for shooting. And that leads me into my next point with FOV, and that is target acquisition and aiming. Oh, I actually flicked mine down to 87. Okay, so now we're looking at, this may be hard to do because I don't have a specimen for me. Or with me. One of these guys going to hold still. Alright, so this guy's standing right in front of me. Dang it. I'm trying to think if there's, oh, here we go. Alright, so this guy's right in front of me, right? Joy. I'm on 60 FOV. Here is my point with this. Now if I set it all the way up to 90 and go back, do you see how much smaller his head is now? Now think about it. This small cursor I have to put this on the head, and I have to see it as well. So I find that aiming in general is a bit easier when it's 60 to 70, and the when it's at 90, it's just a bit harder to do. I mean, it's hard enough to aim with thumbsticks. I feel like this kind of hinders me. And again, it's a little weird at first, especially if you've been playing on 90 FOV, but I think it really helps with aiming, keeping it around like a 70 range. And again, remember, PC's default is 72. And when you're in a Mini, it's like 90-ish. And that kind of automatically happens while you're flying around. So keep that in mind as well. So for me, my FOV, I chose 70, and that's good for me. It's been great for gunfights. It's great for movement. It helps me see things, because remember, if FOV is set to 90, it's much harder to see your distance targets. So there you go. Let's see. Did we get everything? Let's go ahead and double check the list here. Oh, yeah. Graphics settings. Depth of field I would keep off. Sharpening, again, it does exactly what it says it's going to do. If you would like to take off vignette, you could. It's going to give you a little bit more performance if you're on a core system, but nothing crazy. They did have screen effects on here at one point, but they did remove it. I believe the default for screen effects right now is either excessively low or it's off. What do I mean by that? When you get shot, you'll see different splatters and stuff show up. They're quite detailed in the standard version, but most notable is when you're underwater. There's a blur effect, but if you don't see the blur effect, that means it's either on low or it's off, the screen effects. And I believe they're set to off right now, because I don't see any option for that, but that could change in the future. Again, if you're on a core system, I would say change your FOV to 60, maximum 70, and I would make sure that your vignette's off and your depth of field is off as well. All right, and motion blur. Oh, geez. A motion blur across the board for any console. I would just turn that off. It helps. It keeps things a bit clearer. And again, the brightness default, I believe, is 5 on this game. It's a bit weird. I mean, Rust night times are excessively dark, and they're supposed to be. But I find that 0.8 is a pretty good balance between daytime and nighttime, where you can see enough. But you're never going to be able to see like just super well unless you have a light source, and that's by design. So there you go. These are my best control settings, best settings for Rust Console Edition. I hope that helps you, and if it did, be sure to drop a like. And again, if you think this is something you're into and you would watch in the future, both our series, our live streams, and or our guides, be sure to drop a like and turn on those notifications. And we will see you in the next live stream / video. Yes? Okay, I love you. Bye! We must go back to the homestead.